Welcome to the Sun for Life Sunny podcast. I'm your host, Ania Draus. My guest today is Dr. Anita Wasik, a scientist, herbal medicine practitioner, and intuitive healer who helps people recover from chronic illness by addressing root causes rather than symptoms. Welcome, Anita. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Ania, for having me here today.
Your work touches the very heart of what we keep exploring through our podcasts and Sun for Life blog. And I wonder what fascinates you about sunlight and health.
So, for me, health stopped being just about the human body. When I studied herbs and biochemistry and nature, I realized everything is connected by one long thread of energy and information. And this thread begins actually with the sunlight, because the sun shapes the soil shapes the plant shapes our gut, and our gut, of course, shapes every part of our health. So when I work with people, I always look at the whole ecosystem that creates the food and the signals our body receives. And what fascinates me about sunlight is that it's not just energy, it's actually the instruction. The sunlight tells us how to grow, how to reset, how to repair. We are actually talking about the full spectrum of energies. There is ultraviolet light that interacts with our skin and drives vitamin D production. There is visible light, which is what we perceive as a color and plants uses for photosynthesis. And there is also infrared, which we feel as warmth. It penetrates deeper into tissues, affects our circulation, mitochondrial energy production, and even inflammation. Underneath all of this, it's an information. So every photon that arises from the sun carries a signal. A photon is actually a particle of light. It has no mass, it moves at the speed of light, and it carries energy. But it's also a wave. It behaves like vibration and like frequency at the same time. This is why we talk about wavelength. So photons are information carriers, and this is the part that matters for our biology. Tells the body the time of the day, the season, the intensity of the environment, when we wake, digest, repair, sleep, also how plants should grow, how hormones shift.
And once this sunlight reaches a plant, what happens? How does light change the food we later eat?
So a photon from the sun lands on the leaf and it absorbs by chlorophyll. So chlorophyll is a dye that absorbs the red and blue light and reflects the green light. This is why our eyes see the leaves as green. When a photon hits a plant and is absorbed by the chlorophyll, it triggers a process called photosynthesis. So it's a process by which plants turn the sunlight into food. It's how plants take light from the sun, water from the soil, carbon dioxide from the air, and transform them into sugar and oxygen. So the sugar becomes a plant's fuel, the energy it uses for growth, and the oxygen is released back into the air for us to breathe. But actually, the sunlight does far more than just make the sugar and oxygen. So light tells the plant how to grow. So for example, blue light will shape the leaf structure. Red light will regulate flowering, and UV light will trigger protective compounds production. Light also creates different antioxidants, polyphenol, that are used by our body as well when we eat the plants, and are used by the plants in the process of stress response. Light also determines the flavor and the color. So for example, the richness of the color, deep green, red, purple, is shaped by how much and what kind of light the plant receives. Same with the flavor. A plant under full sunlight will produce more natural sugars, acid, aromatic compounds, and that's why sun-grown food tastes alive. Light will help to develop stronger internal chemistry, so harder skins, deeper roots, more nutrients. Light also influences the plant's relationship with soil. This part is powerful because the more sunlight a plant receives, the more sugar it can put into its roots.
Is there a difference between a tomato grown in July sun versus a winter hothouse tomato?
Absolutely. There's a huge difference, and not just in taste, in chemistry, also energy and the signals the food will give to our body. And July tomato grows under long, strong and natural sunlight that will force the plant to produce more natural sugars that will deeper sweetness, more antioxidants to have richer color, more polyphenols to have stronger flavor, and more protective compounds for better nutrition. In summer, the plant has to defend itself from intensive light, heat, insects, and also microbes, and it does that by creating hundreds of beneficial for human molecules, grow under weak and artificial light and in controlled environment with almost no stress, will not lead to the production of all these antioxidants and polyphenols. It will also have more water, will be pale, and will not have the same flavor and vitality actually. So it looks like a tomato, but it doesn't behave like tomato grown under the sun. And the summer tomato is alive with sun, a winter tomato is alive with electricity, and your body will definitely feel this difference.
Sunlight also affects the soil, even though it doesn't touch it directly. Can you explain how light influences what's happening underground?
Of course. So as I mentioned before, the sunlight reaches the leaves and the plants capture this light through photosynthesis to turn it into sugar. So it's basic energy. Plants will use some of the sugar to, of course, grow the stem, the leaf, the fruits, but part of it will go downwards through the root into the soil. So the plant will send to the soil sugars, amino acids, different organic acid, aromatic compounds, and different chemicals that work as communication molecules. And they become food for the soil, bacteria, and fungi. So once the microbes are fed, they wake up, they multiply, they form communities, they begin breaking down different minerals and organic matters, and that will release nutrients back to the plant in the form that the plant can actually absorb. So plants feed the soil and the soil feeds the plant, and this is the partnership built entirely on sunlight.
And when talking about human, how do we respond to light?
So sunlight influences human health much far beyond vitamin D. It's actually the strongest biological regulator we have. Our entire body is wired to respond to light because every cell has a clock, a rhythm, metabolic switches that are set by the light entering our eyes and the light hitting our skin. Sunlight is the signal that tells your brain what time is it, and when your brain knows the time, every organ knows what to do. Morning light, for example, with much more blue light will tell us to wake up. It will increase the cortisol in healthy ways, will boost our energy, will start the digestion, activate metabolism. Opposite, the evening light, which is more red and infrared wavelengths, will tell the body to slow down, to drop cortisol level, to increase melatonin production for better sleep, and will prepare actually our body for repair and detoxification. So without light, our circadian rhythm slips out of sync, and everything from hormones to digestion become actually confused. Sunlight also has a huge impact on our mood because it helps to increase serotonin, dopamine, endorphin levels. And of course, people feel more alive in summer because their brain chemistry changes in response to the light.
Let's talk about the gut. How does sunlight-grown food support the human gut microbiome?
Interestingly, the gut isn't static. It has also rhythm across the year, just like we do. Summer food, as we know, it's more cooling, hydrating, energizing. Winter food, it's more warming, grounding, and stabilizing. So eating seasonally food that grew in the sun of that particular season will help the gut to sync with the environment, so the gut can know the season, the time of the year. So sunlight grown food doesn't just feed us, it sends rich signals to our gut.
And if you had to describe this entire chain, Sun, soil, plants, gut, human health, in one idea or metaphor, how would you put it?
It's very interesting. There's so many ways to explain that, but let me put it this way. Every bite of food we take is captured sunlight that pass through the hands of the earth. So think about this for a moment. We know that sunlight gives energy, it gives an information that is absorbed by the plant. The plant will translate that energy into nutrients, into sugar, different vitamins that will go through the roots to the soil. The soil microbes will decompose that and give back nutrients to the plant. And when we eat that plant, our gut bacteria will read the signal that is encoded in the food and will respond to it by shaping our whole health. So our body absorbs not just the nutrients, but actually the full story that comes from the sunlight through the plant, through the soil, back to the plant. It absorbs also the rhythms of the season and the full intelligence of the living systems. So every meal is more than just fuel, it's the conversation of the sun with the earth. It carries timing, it carries energy and guides our biology. And the quality of the soil matters, and the care the plants receive also matters for our health.
It's so beautifully said.
If I may add, when we choose sunlight-grown, seasonal, very vibrant food, we are literally choosing food that has been filled with light and energy. And we are eating that light, not just the matter.
We encourage you to notice sunlight in everyday food choices, right, Anita?
Absolutely.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you everybody for listening. Thank you, Ania.
This conversation reminds us that food is never just a fuel. It is sunlight captured by plants, shaped by the soil, and translated by our gut into health. It also invites us to think differently about what healthy food really means, depending on where we live and the time of the year. Food that grows locally under the sun of a specific place and season is often deeply aligned with what our bodies need at the moment. Thank you to everyone listening. If this episode inspired you, you will find more conversations and articles exploring the science and everyday wisdom of sunlight on Sun for Life info. Remember to subscribe to the Sun for Life Sunny podcast on your favorite platform and share this episode with anyone curious about food, health, and living in a more natural rhythm. Until the next time, stay close to the light.